Did you know that statistically there is at least one active serial killer in every large city in the world? A chilling fact, isn't it? But it's one that ushers us into the dark and unsettling reality of serial killers. When we say serial killer, we're not talking about the sensationalized villains often portrayed in movies or television. No, the reality is far more disturbing. A serial killer is officially defined as a person who commits at least 3 murders over a period of time, with a psychological gratification being the central motive. These are individuals who live among us, often unnoticed, carrying out their heinous acts in the shadows. Globally, their prevalence is more common than you might think. In the United States alone, the Federal Bureau of Investigation estimates that there are between 25 to 50 serial killers active at any given time. And that's just one country. When you consider the global scale, these numbers become even more daunting. Their methods, their motives, and their victims can vary greatly. Some kill for power, some for pleasure, and some for reasons that even the most seasoned psychologists struggle to understand. What unites them all, however, is their ability to blend into society. They could be your neighbor, your coworker, or even someone you pass by on the street. The reality of serial killers is not a simple one. It's complex, it's disturbing, and it's very, very real. It's a reality that forces us to confront our own vulnerabilities, our own fears. It's a reality that reminds us that monsters don't just exist in stories, but walk among us, hidden in plain sight. So as we delve deeper into this topic, remember this unsettling truth. Remember that these are not just stories, but realities that people live with every day. And with that chilling thought, let's descend further into this shadowy underworld. This chilling fact sets the stage for our journey into the world of serial killers. The concept of a serial killer is not a modern invention. The term may be, but the act is as old as civilization itself. This chilling fact might surprise some, but the dark underbelly of human behavior has been with us since the dawn of time. Let's cast our minds back to ancient times, where the earliest known serial killers made their mark on history. One of the first recorded instances is Locusta of Gaul, a woman living in the 1st century Roman Empire. Locusta has a chilling resume. She was a professional poisoner, hired by those in power to eliminate their rivals. Emperor Nero himself was rumored to be among her clients. With her toxic potions, she was responsible for numerous deaths, earning her a place in the grim annals of serial killers. But she wasn't alone. Journeying to 19th century India, we encounter another infamous figure, Thug Behram, a member of the Thuggee cult. Behram was a master of deception and murder. The Thuggee cult members were known for befriending travelers only to rob and strangle them later. Behram, the most prolific among them, was thought to have taken the lives of more than 900 people. His weapon of choice? A ceremonial rumal, a simple handkerchief, used in a chillingly effective manner. These figures may seem like characters from a horror novel, but they were very real, and their actions left a trail of devastation that echoed through the ages. Despite the vast differences in their time periods and methods, Locusta and Behram share a common thread. They both killed repeatedly, demonstrating a pattern of behavior that we now recognize as indicative of a serial killer. These early examples show that the phenomenon of serial killing is not confined to any particular period or culture. It's a chilling reminder that the darkest aspects of human behavior can surface anywhere, at any time. It's not a comforting thought, but understanding our past is a crucial step towards preventing such horrors in the future. The 19th century marked a significant shift in the public awareness and understanding of serial killers. This was a time when infamous characters such as Jack the Ripper and H.H. Holmes emerged from the shadows, leaving trails of blood and terror in their wake. These individuals not only committed heinous acts but also became the subjects of widespread public fascination and fear. In the heart of London's Whitechapel district, Jack the Ripper stalked the murky alleyways during the late 1880s. His victims, mostly female sex workers, were found brutally mutilated, their bodies bearing the marks of a killer who operated with surgical precision. Despite the efforts of the Victorian police, the Ripper's identity remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in the annals of crime. Across the pond in the bustling city of Chicago, H.H. Holmes constructed what would later be known as his murder castle. A charming and cunning man, Holmes used his charisma to lure victims into his specially designed building, complete with trapdoors, soundproof rooms, and a basement crematorium. His reign of terror coincided with the 1893 World's Fair, an event that brought scores of unsuspecting victims right to his doorstep. What made these killers infamous, however, was not only their gruesome acts but the role that media and advancements in forensic science played in shaping public perception. The 19th century was a time when newspapers were a primary source of information, and the sensational coverage of these crimes captivated readers worldwide. With each new headline, the public's fascination and fear of these killers grew. In tandem with this, advancements in forensic science began to play a pivotal role in crime solving. Investigators started using techniques such as fingerprinting and early forms of profiling to piece together the clues left behind by these killers. These developments not only helped in the hunt for such murderers, but also contributed to the public's understanding of these complex and terrifying figures. The 19th century set the stage for the serial killer as we know it today. It was a time when the world was introduced to a new kind of horror, one that lurked not in the pages of Gothic novels, but in the very real dark corners of our cities. The 20th century saw an escalation in both the number of serial killers and the brutality of their crimes. Our journey into the darkness continues with some of the most notorious names that have left an indelible stain on the annals of crime history. Ted Bundy, the charming sociopath, is first on our list. Bundy was a master manipulator, exploiting societal trust with his good looks and charisma to lure unsuspecting women to their doom. His reign of terror spanned 4 years across multiple states, claiming the lives of at least 30 young women. A law student turned predator, Bundy's intelligence and audacity made him a terrifying figure in the late 20th century. Next, we turn to John Wayne Gacy, also known as the Killer Clown. Gacy was a well-respected member of his community, often performing at children's parties as a clown. Beneath this facade, however, lurked a monster. Gacy exploited his reputation and the trust of his victims to carry out a series of horrific murders. His House of Horrors, where he buried many of his victims, is a chilling testament to the depths of his depravity. And then, there's Jeffrey Dahmer, the Milwaukee cannibal. Dahmer's heinous acts were not only limited to murder. He was also known for his gruesome post-mortem rituals. Dahmer exploited technological advancements, like the relative anonymity of urban living and the lack of digital surveillance, to carry out his gruesome deeds. These killers, and others like them, used their cunning, charm, and the trust of a less suspicious society to commit their crimes. They exploited the advancements of the 20th century to evade capture, leaving trails of terror that would haunt the world for years to come. The 20th century was indeed a frightening era, with these serial killers leaving a chilling legacy that continues to fascinate and horrify us. Their gruesome deeds, the lives they've taken, and the fear they instilled have forever changed the way we view safety, trust, and the human capacity for evil. The 20th century serial killers brought a new level of terror and fascination to the public eye. In the 21st century, the face of the serial killer has changed yet again. As we move deeper into the digital age, the world of crime, including serial killing, has adapted to new technologies and societal changes. In the early years of the 21st century, serial killers like Dennis Rader, also known as the BTK killer, used the internet to taunt law enforcement and the public. Rader sent letters and packages containing details of his crimes to police and news outlets, reveling in the fear he incited. His reliance on technology ultimately led to his capture in 2005, revealing the double-edged sword that the internet presents for modern criminals. In stark contrast to Rader, Israel Keyes, active from the late 90s to 2012, used the internet to plan his crimes meticulously. He researched his victims, studied law enforcement techniques, and even booked his travel online, exploiting the anonymity that the digital world can offer. The role of social media in these crimes also can't be ignored. Platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram have given killers a new avenue to stalk their victims and sometimes even broadcast their crimes. The chilling case of Luca Magnotta, who posted videos of his crimes online, is a haunting representation of this disturbing trend. But it's not just the methods that have changed. The motivations and profiles of 21st century serial killers seem to be shifting as well. While lust and power remain common driving forces, some killers now seek fame or notoriety in the age of viral media. They're no longer just the shadowy figures hiding in the dark corners of society, but sometimes individuals seeking a perverse form of recognition. As we continue to navigate this digital era, it's important to remember that while the internet and social media can be tools for good, they can also be exploited by those with malevolent intentions. As society evolves, so too do the methods and madness of serial killers. Our understanding and approach to these crimes must adapt in response to protect potential victims and bring these criminals to justice. To truly understand a serial killer, we must venture into the darkest corners of the human mind. The world of a serial killer is often shrouded in mystery. Behind the gruesome acts and chilling headlines, there lies a complex web of psychological traits that define these individuals. Let's delve into some of the common ones. Lack of empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, is a trait frequently observed in serial killers. This detachment allows them to inflict harm without the burden of guilt or remorse. It's as if they're on the outside looking in, observing the world but never truly participating in its emotional landscape. Manipulativeness is another key characteristic. Serial killers are often masters of deception, able to present a charming facade while hiding their sinister intentions. This trait enables them to gain the trust of their victims, making them unsuspecting prey in a deadly game of cat and mouse. And then there's narcissism. Many serial killers exhibit an inflated sense of self-importance, an unquenchable thirst for recognition. They view themselves as superior beings, their actions justified by their perceived greatness. This narcissistic worldview often shields them from the reality of their atrocities. Now, you may be wondering what causes these traits. Theories abound, ranging from genetic predispositions to environmental factors. Some experts argue that a turbulent childhood filled with abuse or neglect can significantly impact an individual's psyche, potentially giving rise to these traits. Others suggest that certain brain abnormalities may play a role, but it's important to note that these theories are not definitive explanations. They merely provide some possible insight into the complex puzzle that is the serial killer's mind. Understanding the psychology of a serial killer is a daunting task, but it's a crucial step in preventing future crimes. It's a journey into the shadows, a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk within the human mind. But by shedding light on these traits, we can perhaps better arm ourselves against the threats they pose and strive towards a safer, more understanding world. Serial killers have haunted our nightmares and fascinated our imaginations for centuries. The unsettling reality is that these individuals walk among us, their malevolent intentions hidden beneath a veneer of normalcy. They exist in every corner of the globe, traversing across centuries, their crimes etched indelibly into the annals of human history. From the earliest known serial killers to the infamous figures of the 19th and 20th centuries, the narrative is chillingly consistent. Whether it's Gilles de Rais, the 15th century nobleman, or the notorious Jack the Ripper, whose identity still eludes us, the tales are disconcertingly similar. They are stories of individuals possessed by a dark compulsion, an insatiable drive to inflict harm. The 21st century, too, has not been immune to this grim phenomenon. Despite advances in forensic science and criminal profiling, serial killers continue to evade capture, their crimes often going undetected for years. The chilling case of Harold Shipman, the British doctor who killed over 200 of his patients, stands testament to this fact. At the heart of these narratives is a complex and disturbing psychology, a warped mindset that sets these individuals apart. They are characterized by a lack of empathy, a blunted capacity for remorse, and often a deep-seated desire for power and control. Their acts are not random but carefully planned and executed, a testament to their cunning and manipulation. But the most terrifying truth about serial killers is not their existence, but our inability to identify them until it's too late. They blend into society, hiding in plain sight, their monstrous deeds concealed behind a facade of normalcy. They are the neighbor next door, the friendly doctor, the charming stranger. They are everywhere and nowhere, their true nature concealed until the moment of their horrifying reveal. As we strive to understand these monstrous individuals, we must remember that knowledge is our best defense against the horrors they represent. And so, we continue to delve into the dark recesses of their minds, seeking answers, seeking understanding in the hope that one day we may be able to prevent such atrocities from occurring.